Hey guys, it's Krystal Lee Moore Lucia here, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor, Krystal Lee Moore. This is Realtor Life, and I am so happy you're here. Let's just dig right in. So, it is a bit of a crazy time for everyone right now. We're in April 2026, and it is busy for realtors, it's busy for entrepreneurs. But I really want to dig into a few things that are important. Now, last year, I had a really tough April. I had a really tough April. And I didn't really understand why. The answer to my whole thing ended up being hope. There was a lack of hope. But it was just the weather and people, and I just wasn't doing my normal bounce back. So, as an entrepreneur, our bounce back rate is everything because guess what? Things are going to happen. Bad things are going to happen. Life is going to happen. Life will life, right? So, your bounce back is kind of like every single successful person I've ever listened to, it's their bounce back rate, and that's everything. So, when we look at kind of the lessons we learn, I remember I ended up getting last year, I ended up buying this rock, and the rock said hope. And it's now in my living room, and it's a little reminder because hope is the opposite of fear. It is the opposite of anxiety. It is the opposite of despair. Um, and it was just, I remember being at a store and kind of being like, ugh. And then I saw this rock. It was amazing. I think it cost like, I don't know, $3, but it's in my living room and it's a wonderful reminder. And then I also ended up getting a tattoo on my foot. Now, this one it's very thin. It just says seek, find, be. And we're actually going to be talking about that a little bit today because you can put anything in that. Seek hope, find hope, be hope. Seek love, find love, be love, right? So anything works. And I just remembered like in any moment I look at it and I'm like, yes, because if we look for it, we'll find it. Um, and we can also be it for other people because the thing is, um, in any moment, if you can get outside of yourself and help other people, that really is the answer. And people will say that all the time, right? Like if you're having a tough time, it's like your tough time will seem bigger if you're just staying in it. But if you separate, if you open yourself up, if you help others, it can change things. So that is a big piece. So we're going to talk about creating our environments. So seek, find, be. We're going to talk about trust and why that's very important as a professional. And then I also want to just lean into networking because networking is an amazing thing, but I don't think everyone really understands it. I do have an entire episode, which I will link on how to do networking the right way, but I also want to just frame it. And as you know, these solo episodes are a little bit shorter than the other ones. And that is designed just because I want you guys to get some information, get in, get out, and then get on with your day. Okay, so let's get started. So creating our environments. So in my network, I have this really wonderful woman. Her name is Serena, and Serena brought to us at our last Lead Tribes meeting a podcast she had listened to, and the podcast basically said that we create our environments. And I thought that was really interesting. So if we are, because as we're people in the same world, but you and I can be in the same room and have a completely different experience, right? So if I'm having a bad day, I can be like, oh, it was a bad experience. And you're having a great day, you're like, it was a great experience. Why is that? It's one situation. How can we both see it so differently? And I think what happens is that like what you focus on grows, right? So if you're focused on maybe you're in a car and you're focused on the speed or you're focused on the noise or whatever, versus being in the same car, focusing on the music, focusing on the beautiful scenery outside, right? So, and then your whole experience of that drive will be dictated by what you focused on. Tony Robbins talks about that too. And I thought it was really interesting because when we look at that seek, find, be, what you look for will show up. And so again, Tony Robbins talks about the questions we ask ourselves. If you say like, what is good about this? What is this? What's the learning potential here? What can I do with this? Why am I so lucky to get blah, 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 right? Versus the questions a lot of us ask ourselves, why can't I get this? Why can't I lose 5 pounds? Why can't I get to this level? Why don't I have a helicopter yet? Why don't I have a helicopter yet, right? You can ask it in a different way. Um, but ultimately, the questions we ask ourselves, like our brain is designed to answer questions. So if you ask the right questions, I think the actual sentence is like, if you want a better experience, ask better questions. So how can I succeed? How can I elevate my experience? How can I impact the people around me? And when you start asking good questions, like what an exercise you can do is come up with a few questions that you could ask yourself every day. I'm doing this really cool, I don't know if I have it here, Opportune challenge. So what we're doing is it's really cool. So James Coolidge started this company, Opportune. We've had James on, and every day you answer questions. It's supposed to be for 30 days. Here it is. It's very fun. If you want a copy, let me know and I will connect you with James. But every day it starts with, what is one thing I'm excited about today? Imagine if you started every single day with that question, like, what are you excited about? Like I know for me, there's always something to be excited about, even if it's something small. Like you could be excited that it's not snowing, or you could be excited that it's sunny, or you could be excited that you're meeting a client or having a visit with a friend. You could be excited that someone showed you compassion when they could have been otherwise, right? Like you can be excited about anything. And then he has a quote, and then he has like a really cool reflection question. So that's for 30 days. Um, so the questions we ask ourselves are really important. And then what we focus on, as I said. So if you really want to focus on positivity, you're going to attract positivity. Now, what's interesting is that at the same time that you're attracting positivity, it might become more apparent to you the people or the things that don't fit that path, right? So if someone, for example, if I'm looking for hope, so I'm searching for hope, I'm trying to give hope, all of this, and someone around me is trying to pull me down, or someone around me is trying to point out the despair that could be, um, that is going to conflict, right? And you're going to feel that tension. And you get to decide what to do with that. Like sometimes people um, they don't like it when you change, and they don't like that just because you're leaving them behind somehow. They feel like it, especially like this can happen like if you have a group of friends and they're all kind of at the same level and you try to elevate, sometimes you'll get kind of a pushback like, oh, you're trying to be better. Or I'm trying to remember some of the examples, but it's like, it's not that they don't want you to succeed. These are your friends. Of course, they want you to succeed. But at the core of everyone is, how does it make me feel? And if you doing that makes it feel like you're leaving the group, or this happens actually when we stop drinking. We stop drinking, and all of a sudden, people are like feeling weird if they want to have a drink around you. And it's almost like a peer pressure that they're just like, well, no, we need to have a drink together. And I've been the person that has pressured my husband. I'm like, why aren't we having a drink together? Um, and so when it comes down to it, it's not about the other person. You really shouldn't care what they're doing. You care how it makes you feel. So whether it's like we're gonna have ice cream, we're gonna have a drink, we're gonna go to the gym, whatever it is, I think people just want to feel like they're connected, right? And so as you're walking through, you get to decide who's coming along with you and who's not. Um, and sometimes people can be inspired and they do want to come along with you. But there's also a way to navigate a friendship or a relationship if you guys go in separate ways. Um, that we could have a whole other episode on that. But at the end of the day, focus on the things that you want, right? So that's that manifesting. Um, because those are the things that will come to you. If you focus on, I think the example, there's actually a really good example. So, what they say is that if you're driving or on a boat or whatever, and you're looking where you don't want to go, so you're driving and you're like, I don't want to go left because there's rocks there. But if you say that and you look at the rocks, sometimes subconsciously you'll start veering towards the rocks, which is so crazy. But that's kind of like understanding our brains is a big deal. So that's kind of like the creating our environments. And the other thing you can do, I mean, we talked about it with Evan Carmichael, but one thing you can do today to create your environment is change who you're following on your social media. You do not need to follow people that make you feel bad. So, I did this years ago with like all of these like weight loss and fitness and blah blah blah. Like I am not 20. I'm not going to be 20 ever again. And so me looking at people telling me that this is how it has to be, that's not that's not good. And me along with all these other women 40 plus, we're looking at this going, what like, we can't do it. Um, not before spending so much money trying to do it for years. And those don't make me feel good. So I've changed my algorithm. And so now I have things that are positive and uplifting and motivational, and it's great. But if you aren't careful, I think they call it doom scrolling. You can just end up down this like rabbit hole of negativity or of comparison culture, which is really dangerous too. Okay, so next, trust, guys. Okay. So, as I mentioned, I'm doing a lot of research for this position, for the Ontario position, Ontario director position for the Canadian Real Estate Association. I'm very excited about it, and I've been doing more and more research. So I'm researching all of these communities on Ontario, all of these real estate boards, but I'm also looking at like as a whole, what are we all dealing with? And this AI fear, people are very afraid that AI is coming and it's going to take over, and we'll become irrelevant, right? No matter what business you're in, there's this like underlying fear. The thing is, if you look at AI as like an amazing tool, we as people create trust with our clients and our, right? We create it and we hold space for it. A computer, even an amazing computer, cannot replicate that. So as we're going through, like use it as a tool, learn how to use it as a tool. Don't think it's going to go away. It's not going away. Um, Side note, I was talking to a realtor who has been a realtor for quite a long time, and he was telling me that like way back when the internet came in and people were like, it's a phase, like it's not gonna, nobody will actually take it seriously. And here we are taking it very seriously. I was the same with um, the online signing. I was so against it because I was like, what do you mean? Like, click, 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 you buy a house? Click, click, click. Like, I'm like, I don't understand. And then I really dug into it to understand like how safe it is, that it's connected to your IP, like all of this stuff. And so I was like, okay, it's kind of cool. And you don't have to like sit outside someone's house for like 7 hours back and forth if there's an offer negotiation. 7 hours is exaggerating, but it could be 3 or 4. Um, but yeah, so with AI, it's like at the end of the day, learn how to use it, but also know that that trust, that you person, you can show clients that trust in that safe space. Um, I recently had a situation where I was the client and um, it wasn't it wasn't a huge betrayal or anything, but the trust was broken like in an instant. And it sucked because when you're building something with someone, you really need to know that they've got your back, right? You just do. And like as a realtor, as a customer service, everything I do is to help my clients understand that I care. I care. And they don't have to earn that care. I care because that's my job. That's the role I've taken for them. And so in reverse, when you don't get that, there's like, because when you're in a situation where you're trusting someone, a professional, you are vulnerable, you're looking to their expertise. And when you get kind of like a proverbial, like uncaring, no empathy, slap in the face type thing, I mean, you don't have to like burn a bridge, but as my husband says, you also don't have to use that bridge, right? So think of that. I mean, I think we've all had that feeling when a person takes excellent care of us, but we've also had that feeling when someone just shows us that we do not matter to them. And you don't want to be the person showing your clients that you do not matter to them. It doesn't matter what's going on. Your clients, that trust is so hard to build and can go in an instant. And so remember that, especially in a time, the world is messed up, the market is messed up. You are that beacon in the storm for them. You're that lifeboat, that the lighthouse, right? It's a big responsibility, but that's what you take on. And we take that on. And so when you're bringing someone along that journey, you can't just let them go, even for a second, even if you have something going on, even if you've decided that you have your own rules and blah, 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 and you've taken it on. That is the job. And when that breaks, that's on you, right? Like it's if I let a client down and I just show them that I don't care, stuff's gonna happen, guys. Like again, like I said, life. Stuff will happen. You're not gonna do everything perfectly. But when it matters, if you don't care, if you don't have that piece of you that cares so much about someone, they're gonna see it. And what happens then? Right? Like, how do you build that back up? Now, I've had it before where clients thought that I didn't care. Like there was a miscommunication, um, and I didn't even know what was going on. And my client didn't, like, she didn't talk to me for 3 months and I didn't know what was going on. And finally, she finally said, you keep trying to talk. I just want to tell you what happened. And she told me, and I had no idea. I had no idea that she had an understanding that she had to fix something at her house before it closed. And I didn't know that. And she was very stressed out. And it was really like she felt like I let her down. I fixed it. We had this great conversation. We had this great connection. And then I ended up helping them for years after. But what if I had just given up? What if I had just said, oh, I guess this client's not talking to me anymore? Oh, well, right? Like, I don't want to be known for that. I don't want anyone on the planet to think I don't care because caring is my biggest strength is how much I care. Um, Although I do have to say, side note, um, we had Sue's coming on last week, and Sue's had a really cool thing that I like adopted as a mantra, and that was care less. Not stop caring, but care less. And so I think you can show that care, you just don't have to take it home with you. Right. And I think that's a hard thing. It is a hard thing for those of us that are all heart because understanding at a deep, visceral level that you can't change the market is hard. But at the same time, knowing that you can do every single thing possible to help your client along that path is also a strength, right? So that's just kind of how that works. Now, I just wanted to talk really quickly about networking. And I said I would mention we have a whole episode on networking, but I just want to I've had this talk with a few people in the last 2 weeks, and I think it's really important to differentiate. So, when you walk in to a networking meeting, you want to get to know the people, but really you're connecting, you're getting the card, and you're going to try and have a coffee and see. And it could be this. It could be a virtual coffee. It could be going for coffee. Whatever works for you guys, right? It's your new relationship. You get to pick it. But ultimately, what you're trying to figure out when you meet someone is number one, can you create a connection, right? Will it be reciprocal, right? We don't need any takers. And does that person, and this is for me, this is my bar's pretty high. Does that person have it in them to care about my people the way I care about my people? Or at least almost as much as I care about my people, right? And I think that that is a big thing because sometimes what happens is people will just be like, yeah, yeah, send me your clients. And then they don't get back to them. Or they, there's no empathy, there's no care. And I mean, if the client doesn't need empathy and care, I guess it's fine. But when you're meeting people, you want to know, can they help your clients? Okay, so that's a direct referral. But can you and that person connect and help each other with your networks? And I think that's the biggest thing. Like you walk into a room, this is not a room of your new clients, right? If you happen to use their services and they happen to personally use your services, fantastic. I'm so happy for you. I've done it. I've had it done. Great. But it's more, I trust you. You trust me. We're now going to share all of these great connections we have. Right? Because if doesn't it feel good? Think about the last time someone referred you and they're like, "Hey, I really want you to meet this person. They're amazing at what they do. They're going to take great care of you. And oh, by the way, I vouch for them." Like so good. Because then you get to do what you're here to do. You get to do the job. You get to take care of people and do a great job. It doesn't happen without the trust though, right? So there is it possible to go and just meet a whole bunch of strangers and be transactional and just like, what does Brian Buffini say? Like, bag him and tag him? Yeah, you could. Absolutely. I don't think you're going to get that satisfaction. And I don't think that's a longevity thing, right? Like, it could be a numbers game, absolutely. But in a time when people need trust, they need to feel good, you're going to have a better time showing them the kind of person that you are. Um, with these referrals. And you don't just get referrals, you also give referrals. So you put a little bit of effort into trying to send clients and send promotion to other people. Now, a question you might have, what if I don't have anyone to refer yet? Excellent question. Thank you for asking. So in Lead Tribes, and I mean, Lead Tribes promotes it. We've been doing it for a long time, but Lead Tribes actually like actively promotes it every week, which is kind of cool. Can you give praise to another person in your network? How do you give praise? You can give them a testimonial. You can give them a Google review. You can post something up on Facebook and say like how great they were. You can stand up and say how great they were. I'm in another networking group, the London Executives Association. We also have a podcast called the Remember a Member podcast. I'm the host, so please check us out. Um, but the like when we'll stand up and we'll give a testimonial and we'll say, I worked with this person and this is what it was like. And it's kind of cool because then you know, number one, you get to show like that you're supporting, but also you get to show that um that like they're not just saying that they're good, they actually are good, right? So like for example, I just sent 1-800 got junk to my clients. They had junk to remove, and this is a great company. We work with them, they're fantastic, but they also make a really good experience for the client. And I know that they're not going to throw everything out. So they're going to pick it up. If they can donate it, they will, which I think is a big deal. My clients also think it's a big deal. So it's good. But it really comes down to like, how can you support someone's business? So inside opportunity is like in the room, outside opportunity, bring in your network or your clients. That praise is a big deal. Maybe it's just like having a coffee connection. Maybe it's going out and getting to know someone, or maybe it is inviting someone to an event, right? Like there's so many cool events, and sometimes people are nervous. So what if you could be the bridge that helps them get into the room? Amazing. Okay, so just to recap, we talked about creating our own environments. So asking the right questions, seek, find, be, and making sure that hope is at the center, not anything like despair or fear or anxiety, because that's got to go. Trust. So remember, trust is a gift that you get from your clients. Do not take it for granted and do not throw it away. it takes a lot of time to build trust with people, and it's not the end of the world if you misstep, but you do have to fix it. Um, and networking is really important, but make sure you're doing it right. Make sure you're bridging those connections so that you can give and receive. As an aside for the giving, it's not just you doing a favor for someone to give them a referral, and they're not just doing you a favor. You're connecting your client with someone awesome. Imagine if your client's like Googling, trying to just like roll the dice and hope they get a good person and then they get taken advantage of or it's not good. You're kind of vetting people for them. So it's another piece of your service for them. And the same thing, like when you get a referral, you are being given a gift so that you can take care of this person, right? It's a huge honor. And just try to remember that. So we have a great guest coming up for next week. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and I really appreciate you listening. Please give us some notes in the comments. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what your favorite tip is for networking or for manifesting the world around you. And please give us a like, give us a share, give us a follow. All of it helps and it shows you care. Thanks, guys.